Welcome back, everyone. What we're going to be talking about in this video, which is covered in the Murac book under Chapter 17, how to work with file I/O, which is input-output. And really quickly, I want to just show you what we're going to build in this. We'll do as little PowerPointing as we possibly can, but then we'll get over to the code. And what this is one of the older projects that have been done, I think under chapter 12 in the book, and it's an inventory maintenance. And there are some examples in here. And what we can do is just add one if we want. If my keyboard was properly working, let's just say food, and then we'll say $10.50. Okay, so you can see that it's being saved in there. Okay, and I can also go in and then delete the item, and there's a confirm delete, and I hit yes, and then I exit. And the issue with this particular application is I don't actually have a database set up for this. I'm not storing this as an SQL or any other NoSQL type of database. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm actually saving that information to a text file. So what we're going to do in this particular video today is build out this exact application. And we're not going to send it to a database. We're actually just going to save it to a TXT file, basically to a text file. And we're going to persist our data in this. Now, you would never really do this if you had large quantities of data that you wanted to store. But in certain cases, you may want to do this with a small amount of data. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, is just do this with text. Now, the slides will cover binary, but I'm actually going to avoid the subject of binary in this video today. I'm just going to talk about saving this to a text file. Okay, so let's get into the PowerPoints and see what's going on in here for today. And then we'll go over to Visual Studio 2019 and begin doing the code in there. Okay, let's exit that and see what has to happen in the PowerPoints today. Okay, so the chapter objective is to develop an application that requires the use of text or binary files, but I'm just going to do text. And we're going to distinguish between text and binary, describe the use of file stream, stream reader, stream writer, binary reader, binary writer, describe two common types of I/O exceptions. I don't know if I'll do that today. We'll see how it goes. And then distinguish between using statement, between a using statement and a using declaration. And we'll see if we get to that today as well. Okay, so when we look at this particular slide, we're seeing that the system.io classes used to work with drivers or directories. Okay, so we will be seeing file in path. Not so much sure we'll see directory, but it's possible. And then this using system.io. Okay, we will definitely be seeing the using system.io. Okay, and some of the common methods of the directory classes are exists, create directory, and delete. Okay, and then these ones here are code that uses some of the directory methods. So what's interesting about this particular one is that right now it is a string in a directory, and we've got this @ symbol here. So we'll see that further when we get into the code, but we're using the @ symbol here, and then we get into the quotations. Okay, and then what we can do here now is do this if statement using this particular thing here. Let me get the pen out. So we've got this string, which is everything on the right has now been assigned to directory. And then in this particular comparison operator, in this if statement, we've got this line of code that we'll probably have a closer look at in the code. Okay, common methods of the file class. Okay, so exist, delete, copy, and move. All right. Yeah, let's keep going. I don't have to go through all of these slides. I think there's a lot of them. Okay, now what you're seeing here is the difference. This is a text file displayed in a text editor. So it looks like just Notepad. Okay, and you're seeing this .text. There's a good chance you've probably already before saved something as a .txt. Okay, and it's not very common that people learning to program would, up until they started programming, do a .dat. Okay, so what you're seeing right here. So that's why I'm really going to focus on this stuff today. This is a lot less common, and eventually we're going to get into saving information to a database. So I don't really see a huge point at the moment. Okay, so this is a .txt. All right. Now, two types of files. There's text and binary. Okay, and two types of streams, text and binary. But the text, a file that contains text or string characters. The fields in each record are typically delimited by special characters like tab or pipe characters. And the records are typically delimited by new line characters. Okay, and we'll skip the binary. And two types of streams used to transfer text data. Okay, so just keep some of this in mind. All right, system.io class is used to work with files and streams. Okay, so we've got file stream, we've got stream reader, stream writer, and that's good enough for now. Okay, provides access to input and output files. So what does it say? It provides access. Okay, this one, stream reader, is used to read. Stream writer is used to write. All right. Okay, so the syntax for creating a file stream object. Okay, and you can see we've got this keyword new, and the other keyword file stream here in this case. Path, our mode, access, and share. So we've got a different looking syntax for the arguments that we're going to pass to this. Okay, so then there's members of the file mode enumeration. And we'll come back to that, I hope. Okay, members of the file access enumeration. So we got read, write, and write. Okay. Common methods of the file stream class. Close. Okay, and by the way, if you've done this already in Java, some of this may seem very familiar to you anyway. Okay, so if we look at this example here, we've got a string, our data type, and then this variable name path. I don't know what happened to my laser. But you're seeing this @ symbol again, okay? And then we get into our quotations. I really need to get a stylus for this. And we've got that first part there, okay? And then we have file stream fs equals new file stream. And you can see now the parameter list. We have path, okay? And this path is one of the parameters inside this file stream. All right, and similar to what happened down here, code that creates a new file stream object for reading. Okay, so this one's for reading, this one is for writing. Okay, so obviously you cannot read something that hasn't first been written. Okay, and simply this one is again string path, the @ symbol, quotations, right? And then this new file stream here, what you're seeing is the difference in the mode. Okay, so file mode.open And then file access.read happens after you've done file mode create and file access write. Okay, so there is a sequence to what we're doing here. I really want to briefly touch on this, not because I'm probably unlikely to do the code for this today, but I want to touch on it anyway. And it does support some of the other previous chapters in the book, so I should talk about it. But these are exception classes dedicated to the file IO. Okay, so what you're seeing is IO exception, directory not found exception, file not found exception, and end of stream exception. And so we've got some examples of what's going on in here. We've got basically a file right here. So the situation is if it's null, then we're going to go into our first try right here. Okay, and with that, you're seeing the file open mode. And this is the code that uses the file stream to read and write data from the file. Okay, but obviously there's, the first thing we're going to try. And if not, we're going to say file not found exception. Right, and then there's just a little message box that you can put in there. And then finally, the last one, directory not found exception. And again, you can put your message box in there. So it's unlikely that I'm going to do that today, but if you find yourself in a situation where you think that it would be appropriate for your code, there's sort of the code snippets that you could rely on. Okay, and then there's this catch IO exception. I think in the future I may come back and give this a try, or add it to a different video, but just for now, know that it's there. All right. What's next in here? So this is basic syntax for stream writer. And you can see we've got these three methods right here. There's write data, writes data to the output stream. Write line, okay, and this writes the data to the output stream and appends a line terminator. Okay, and then this one here, close. Closes the stream writer object and the associated file stream object. Okay. And this method, this one here, this is something we're probably going to do as well. And what's interesting about this one is you have to understand, I'm doing this with save. Okay, so this is the save products. And so this one is an important one that we're going to do because when I actually want to save it, this is sort of the code process that I'll end up going through. Okay, and you can see here we're doing a create and a write. And most importantly, you see this for each. And we've got product uppercase, okay, product lowercase in products with an S. Okay, so you can see here we've got our text out right here. So we're using the file stream class here to make this text out object. And you can see in these cases, we're cycling through that. Okay, so this is a good slide to know or refer to for the code because we will be implementing something very similar to this particular page. So in this particular one, we've got our stream reader. Okay, and this is something that happens after we've already created. And this is a good one to pay attention to. This peak returns the next available character in the input stream without advancing to the next position. If no more characters are available, this method returns a -1. Okay, and there's read here. Reads the next character from the input stream, and then here's one. Read line. Reads the next line of characters from the input stream and returns it as a string. Okay, and this is something where you might see with a row. So you might see a string. I can't really do it very well, but row. Okay. A string row. So this is supposed to be string, but I can't do this with my mouse. Anyway, this read line is one that we'll see. Okay, close, we'll probably revisit this one again. And yeah, that looks like a lot of the ones that we're going to do in the actual coding. All right. And so here's an example. Okay, so there's a little bit of density to this particular slide. Okay, and you'll see what's happening on a method that reads data from a text file into a collection of product objects. So you can see in this particular case, we've got the first part done, right? We've got the open or create in this particular case. And we'll probably implement this open or create with the file stream as well. Okay, but what's interesting on this one here is that at some point we create our list. We're going to use this list. And right here you'll see peak. Okay, and I already read that on the last slide, returning the -1. And what's happening is that while this is all happening, all of this code right in here, we're inside the while loop. Things are good. And then once we step outside of the while loop, then it's a text in close. Okay, and then we're just returning the products. And notice where the order of this is. Okay, notice that close is before the return statement. Okay, so don't get confused by that. Don't assume that close is the last thing that has to happen. We actually have to close it first and then take the result and return that. Okay. So this slide here, which is 21, we've only got a couple more slides to go and then I'll get into the code, but this has got a lot of stuff in it. Okay. So we've got our using system.io. We've got using system, collections and generic. And sometimes with C# or .NET Core, when you're programming it with it, you'll see you know whatever the situation is. I don't know. You'll get some squiggly red line under a word, and oftentimes it happens because you're not actually you're not employing your using statements in here. Okay, so you haven't referenced them to the C# library, and you need to do that. Okay, so once you do that, and maybe we'll see in the code when we get into it one more time, maybe as a review, that the little I think tool icon or a light bulb or something opens up, and it actually the IntelliSense tells you to create a reference to that system library in order to use the functionality. Okay, so if we look at this one and we see what's really going on here. We've got our public class and its product database. And we're declaring two strings here. One is a directory and the other is a path. Okay, and then you can see here we're using the directory for this particular example. And this is really the output file that we're going to save our information to and read from. Okay, so in this particular example, on your hard drive in this, wherever we specify the memory location, a file will get produced called products.txt. So the very first time you run this, it's unlikely that it'll have anything populated to it unless we hard code it. Okay, but if it's just empty, you can open that up. There'll be nothing there. Okay, and then we're going to get to this list. Okay, and note that it's static. Okay, and then we go into a couple of these things in here. So this particular example is using exist. Okay, and then some of this other syntax in here. But for ours, we're really not going to get into that level of complexity for ours. Okay, so let me go to the next screen here. We've got this sort of other example here. There's peak again, and notice, typically it is not equal to -1. All right, and now I've got sort of standard stuff that we've done before, but you see here, this is what I was talking about earlier with row. We've got string row equals text in dot read line, this read line method. And then notice here, we're doing a split. So if you've looked at the other stuff before, you've seen we've used the split method before. We're creating our product object. Okay, and then we're just talking about columns here. Okay, and we're making sure that we're dealing with strings and decimals and all that stuff. We're doing a conversion. And at the very bottom, we're calling the add method. Okay, and then we're returning products. And there's one more slide I want to look at really quickly. And this is our save products. This previous one here wasn't saved. This was just, it's a little bit different one, but this is the save products. Again, our products list, and we're just doing this particular syntax, which is kind of similar to what we looked at previously. So I'm going to finish now with the PowerPoint. I'm going to get out of this and go over to Visual Studio and start programming the example that I showed you in the beginning. Okay. So I've got Visual Studio open. I'm in C#, Windows Desktop, and I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to call this one, basically, I'm going to follow along the example that I have already for this from the book. So this is going to be called Inventory Maintenance. Make sure I spell it relatively correct. And I've saved it to a file directory that I want, and I'm going to say create. So I have this open, and this is basically my first form, and I'm going to have to change the properties of this. And right away, I know I need to rename this because that's terrible. And I think what I will name this is, it looks like, I think FRM INVMAINT.cs. So form inventory maintenance. You are renaming a file. Would you like to perform a rename on this project of all references to? Yes, of course I would. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do is change the name of that text as well. Okay, so we've got inventory maintenance. And then I think the other thing is I really need to change the size of that. So I can go, let's say, the top one looks like 412 or 492, sorry. And the height of this looks like it is 226. All right. So what I'm going to do here, instead of, because you've been through this with me before, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to build out the two forms, and then I'll just speed up the video so you don't have to suffer through it. Okay. So just sit tight, watch me build the forms, and we'll go from there. So I've got my two forms built. And if I look at my Solution Explorer and I go to Program and I open this up, you'll see that this form, inventory maintenance, this is the first thing to open up, right? So when I do a start without debugging, this is the form that actually opens up, which is fine. But I want to test this one to make sure that this one opens up. So what I can do is just change the name really quick and do a start without debugging and make sure that that's the actual, that one opens up. Okay, so this does, and notice that there's nothing in here that I've got rid of the menu bar items as well. And it's in the center of my screen. And you can see where my cursor is on the very first item number. Okay, so there's nothing I can do to turn that off right now. Okay, so I'll go down to the bottom and do a close window. So I'm confident that that's all working, and I'm going to restore that back to where it was. Okay, and this is what I talked about earlier, this screwdriver. Okay, when you're looking for referencing. So let me just, let's see if I do this. Okay, because you notice that this red line came underneath here, and then it said, it gives me the very first thing here it says is using system. Okay, so if I were to click on that, it actually added the using system right below. And I'm not entirely sure that I've shown that before, but I always meant to. And if I haven't, I do apologize, but that's how we kind of solve that issue. Sometimes you just don't know why things aren't showing up. Everything looks right. It means you're not actually including a library file. Okay, so I'm going to close that down because I don't need it right now. So really quickly, let's go and look at what data is, that we really want to store in this particular case. We've got this item number, we've got a description, and we have a price. So these are the three things that we want to store. And by the way, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. A database doesn't have to be something like SQL or Mongo or something like that. A database is really any place that actually holds or stores data for you, okay, that you can read to and retrieve from. So it doesn't have to be SQL. It doesn't have to be Mongo. It can actually be a text file. And I've seen with C# in the past, I've actually even saved data to a Microsoft Access database. Okay, so it's just a database. Any database is something that stores data that you can write to and retrieve from. Okay, so in this particular case, our database is going to be a text file, not an SQL database. Okay, so with that in mind, we know the three things that we want to save or store. So I think what I'll do now is I'm going to go into here and I'm going to create a class. And that class I'm going to call. So we're going to go to add down here, class. And I'm going to call this class. What do I want to call the class? I think it is inventory item DB. So INV item DB. Okay. And I'm going to do add right here. And you can see that it showed up here. Now, right away, what's great about this is I've got a whole bunch of using statements in there, but I know right away that I'm missing the most important one for this at the moment. Okay, and I'm actually going to leave it out. I'm going to leave it out, and let's hope that it actually gives us an opportunity to use it with that screwdriver thing. Okay. So this is proper namespace inventory maintenance, and that comes from the project over here. My class name is proper, but in this particular case, I want this, what's this light bulb telling me? Nothing at the moment that I'm concerned with, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change this to a public static class inventory item database. All right, and I'll spread this out here a little bit. Now I want to have a private string here and a const. And remember, const always means that once you put it in, if it shows up later further on in your code, it can't be modified. So I'm going to put private const. Just let the IntelliSense do it if you can. String. And this is going to be called path. Okay, and this path is going to be the @ symbol. Remember I said that in from the PowerPoints. Quotations. Now, I haven't worked out, there could be a little bit of trial and error. I might have to pause this and come back and figure out my path. But there is a path, and anyone who's done Linux or Unix will understand what's going on here. So this backslash, 2 more backslash, 2 more, a backslash, and then we're going to call this inventory items .txt. Okay, and finish it off with the semicolon. So that's the first piece to this. That path here, this could end up being the wrong path to where I want to store it. That's okay for now. I'll figure that out. Okay, because ultimately I want this just to be saved inside my project file, and I'm hoping that's going to do that. So it's going to be private const string and separator. Okay, and this is going to be literally a just a pipe. Okay, we've referred to this as a pipe. And that's it for that. Okay, so that's the first piece of this. And you can see I've got these little boxes here, or these little dots, sorry. And it's given me, it's suggesting certain things, but I'm going to ignore it at the moment. It wants me to do, let's see, show potential fixes. So it's looking for this dot path, and I'm going to leave it alone for now. Okay. Now I'm going to stay inside my bracket, but I'm going to move down and I'm going to do a public. We're going to do a list. Okay. Public, a static list, and we've got the angled brackets for list and inventory item. Okay. Now the IntelliSense picked up inventory item DB, but that's not what I want. Okay. So I want to get rid of this. All right. And then we're going to say get items right here. And I need some brackets here. Now, why is this possibly giving me a heartache? Okay, it says this type of namespace name inv item could not be found. Are you missing a using directive or an assembly reference? So show potential fixes. Is it not this one? I don't think it's this one, or this one. What's the first one say? Okay, at the moment, I'm going to actually leave it alone and come back to it. So inside the brackets, I'm going to do some comments with the actual typing. So this will be a list, angle brackets here. Actually, let me do the comment first so you can understand what I'm getting at. Okay, so comment is going to be create the list. Okay, and in my list, I'm going to do my inventory items. Okay, and this will be items with it's pluralized. Okay, so new list inventory, and it doesn't want to show up the way I want, so I'll just have to spell it for now. Okay, just like this. All right, so I'm still going to have that error for a little bit longer, I think. Now, next thing I want to do is create the object for the input stream for a text file. Okay, so that's the next thing I want to do here. Okay, and we looked at this in the slides, the PowerPoint, and this is going to be stream. Okay, and I want you to notice that the IntelliSense is not picking this up right now. Okay, so we got stream reader, txt in, text in is going to equal what? Okay, so this was all in the PowerPoint piece, but what I want to do first is type it out and then talk about some of the issues that we see here. So we've got new, and this will be new stream reader. Okay, and inside that we're going to do new file stream. Okay, and then inside that, now we've got some more to do. So this is going to be our path that we specified up top in line 11. So it's going to be path, okay, file mode. Okay, and so before I continue on, one thing I want to do is I want to come back and address this. Because if I fix this issue, then it should make a lot of maybe some of my other stuff go away. So it's again talking about my reference. And this is what I was saying before. I didn't have my using stream.io up top. Okay, so if we go to the top, I've got all these other using statements, but I don't actually have the one that gives me all of these different libraries. Okay, so it's up here now, but you see that a lot of my errors started to go away. I'm going to just change the alignment of this a little bit, just to keep it a little bit cleaner. So when I go to file mode, now I'm starting to get the library methods or files or attributes available to me. So we'll put a comma in there, and we're going to say file access dot read. Okay, and put in a semicolon there, right? Okay, for this next bit, this is where we're going to talk about the peak method, but I'll put the comment in here. So we're going to read the data from the file and store it in the list. Okay, and this is where in the PowerPoint we had this peak method. So txt, and you can see it's right there, text in dot peak, there it is, which is always reassuring. And this is not equal to -1. Okay, so that's what that condition is within our while loop. Okay, and now remember the items that we were looking for, right? We had item number, description, and I think price. But before we do that, we have to actually do this row thing. So we need our string row, and that is going to equal text in. Okay, so the text coming in dot read right here, read line. Okay, and then the next thing is we have to do this array for the columns. Okay, so string, and this is an array, columns, okay, is going to be equal to now row from the line above dot split. And this split is going to, what we're going to add into here is separator. Okay, and you can see it right there, separator. And I somehow added a 0 and I'm missing my semicolon. Okay, so I do have an error, but that's okay for the moment. So let's keep pushing through. Now we have inventory. See, it's still not being picked up, but we're going to get there. So inventory item. Okay, and this will be item equals new inventory item, not the DB. Don't let your IntelliSense add that. Okay, right there. All right, and I've got to fix that here. I notice it snuck it in, and I don't want that. Okay, so what's next? Okay, before I get to the item numbers. Now, I hope that if you've been watching by now, you understand that this is actually a separate class. This inventory item is a separate class. And I keep getting this warning, right, to show a reference to it. Okay, but the issue is that is going to be a separate file from, we're going to actually make a separate class. So I can actually do that right now. Why don't I do that? It's not likely to make the issue go away. Well, we'll see. Okay, so we're going to do an add a class. Okay, and I'm going to give it the same name. Okay, and it should populate over here in a second. Okay, so you can see that it is populating in here right now, and my issue did go away. Okay, and then when we actually look at the file, you can see that I've got this empty file right now, and it's just my inventory item. And before I go much further, I do want to now kind of populate that. And the reason is because this inventory item is going to relate to the different things that we're going to try and persist. Okay, so we're in the right namespace here. And within that namespace, I do want to make this class public. Okay, so that's one change I want to make to that. And I've got one other thing I need to add. Okay, so it's going to be public. If I could spell it, public and inventory item. Okay, and just like that. All right, so that's the one thing I want to add to that. Now down below, I want to do another public inventory item, and with this constructor. Okay, so I hope you recognize this is my no argument constructor. This constructor is going to have a parameter list. So let's go and look at what it is that we hope to get. We've got our item number, description, and our price. Okay, so within this, we know that the first one is an int item number. Okay, then we're going to pass a description, which is a string. Okay, and then finally, the last one is going to be a decimal, lowercase decimal, and it's the price. Right, and what have we got going on inside there? Okay, just because of privacy, we've got to, initialize the left and right of this so that we can actually use this constructor. And it's no different than we typically do. Okay, item number. Okay, let's do all of the right-hand sides. Okay, we got item number, we've got description. Okay, and then the last one is price. We've got that, semicolon. Let's go back to the top of this here now and start assigning those to something. And this is going to be a capital item and a capital NO. Okay, so this camel case will be a little bit different. This one is going to be description equals, and then price. Okay, so we've got that. Now, why am I getting these errors? Well, the reason I'm getting these errors is because I actually haven't declared these, right? I notice here, I don't have a data type assigned to that. So everything we've talked about this in the past. Everything on the right gets assigned over to everything on the left. So if I were to do something like that, this would make more sense, but that's not how we're going to actually manage that. What we're going to do is down below, I could do this, do the show potential fix, see about doing this. That's one way of doing it. That's pretty darn close to what I want to do, but it's just missing the set. The only thing it's missing is set. Okay, and I need another semicolon. So really, that's all I want to do with that. So I can do the same thing down here. Okay, and I'll do that and then just add my set. Now, I do believe there's some sort of shortcut. I just can't remember for doing the set in the get. I just can't remember what it is, but there is a really cool one. And then set. Okay, so those errors have now gone away. All right, let me save this. Let's just do a build. Okay, as expected, I've got some errors. I'm okay with that for the moment. All right, now, but I noticed there's not really anything in this particular file that's giving me an error. That's fine with me. Okay, what else do I want to do? I want one more thing. Okay, I want to get display text. So this is going to be public string and get display text. Okay, and we're going to use this lambda is what that's called. And we'll say $, quotations, curly braces, and item number with the capital. And I'll give it a, let's do a couple of spaces here. Not that. Inside here, I'm going to say description. And a little further away, again, outside of that, I'm going to put in these brackets, curly braces, and price, semicolon, or sorry, full colon, C. Okay. And then I'm going to end that off. So for now, that's good enough. Now you can see right here, there's something I want to point out, that there are two different locations where these are being referenced currently at the moment. Okay, at the moment, there's two places they're being referenced. Okay. But that's likely to change. I imagine those are going to be referenced in other locations. Now, this function here, method, is not referenced yet. It's going to be called in a different location. Oh, I'd like to go back to this file that we started over here. Okay, now that we've kind of taken care of the inventory item method, we kind of left off here on line 30. You can see there's a complaint, okay, right up here on line 29. For the moment, I'm happy just to leave it alone, and we will come back to it. All right, so where did we leave off? We left to go and address this object here. All right, and so now that we have created our item, what I'm going to do is, let's do it this way. I want to convert a dot to int 32, and this is going to be columns. And in this particular case, it'll be an array of 0. All right. Now, why am I doing this? It's because C-O-N-V-E-R-T, convert. Why? Because I want to now assign that over to something on the left-hand side. So I'll put the equal sign in there, and I'm going to say item So it's items, or sorry, singular item dot capital item number. Okay, so that's what I want to do for that at the moment. Now, something isn't right. I don't need that bracket the way that that is. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is fix my formatting with Control KD, and I want to do item dot description, and I'm going to go with column 1. Okay, and in here I'm going to do column 1. All right, I missed a semicolon. Now the next line is going to be item dot price, and we will convert to a decimal, and in here it will be not 0, it'll be columns, and then 2. Okay, and finish this off with the semicolon. Okay, last thing in here is items. Okay, so this is important to recognize. This is now items. Okay, these are individual item, but this last one is items. Okay, item dot add, and inside my add, I want item. Okay, so this is always why sticking to the proper naming conventions is vital, just vital. Okay. Okay, so what I want to do is step outside of the while loop now. Okay, and this is what I was saying before. Now we've done this piece, we need to close the input stream for the text file. And this is text in dot close. All right, that's how we take care of that piece. But we have one more thing here. Okay, because remember this get items. Okay, when you get something, that means, hey, go over there, get it and return it to me. Okay, so outside of this, we need to do return items. Okay, I want you to go over there literally and return the items for me. Okay, and you'll see here that now this the error here disappears. Okay, so remember, in the past we've done this. We've done a whole class on validating, and we're going to do that in here too. So we're going to go to add a class, and this one is going to be called validator. Okay, it's just a C# class, and we're going to have that in there and open this up. And this one here, we do need to have this. And right off the bat, I can tell you that I do need to use my forms. Let's see, where's another example of it? Is this one? No, not these. I will end up, it's probably in program. So this right here. Okay, so I'll end up using that in my validator. Let me just move it over to the side. Okay, so I've got the namespace is fine. All of these includes are fine, or these using statements. I'm going to change this to public. Public static class validator, that's fine. Okay, let's give some space here. And let's do this. Private static string and title. Title is going to be equal to, okay, it's a string entry error. Okay. Next thing I want to do is public static string title, capital. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and make this a capital. Okay, because in here, I want to add some stuff. Now, let me just look at that really quick. Yeah, I'm happy with this. Okay. And here we're going to do get and lowercase title. Okay, and then set title. And this is going to actually be equal to value. Okay. So that's an interesting syntax you may or may not have seen before. That's okay. We'll come back to it. All right. I'm going to go outside of here and I'm going to test for the presence of something. Okay. So this one is going to now say public static bool, okay, is present. Okay, and inside here, we're going to say text box. Now, I want you to notice the color of this. All right, notice the color of this, and notice the fact that I've got all these errors. Okay, what's going to happen? Do you think any of this will go away? So what happens if I go to here? Do I get any sort of a show potential fix? Extract the base class? Okay, I don't think I want that. Okay, so because I'm defining this, it's not going to go away because I don't have a return with this of either a true or a false. But notice the text box has gone away. And the reason it's gone away is because I did the reference to the Windows forms. Okay, so that's why that's gone away for now. And so in here, what I'm going to do is say if I've got a condition of text box is dot text, and that text is equal to basically nothing, then what? Then I'm saying, give me a message box. Message box dot show. And in the message box, I want my text, lowercase text box dot tag, okay, plus a message, not V, is a required field. Is a required field. Period. And I'll do a comma. Sorry. I'm missing. I hope you can see it. I'm missing that quotation, comma, and then title. There. And I'll finish that off there. Now text box dot focus. Okay, this is all stuff we've seen before. Now return false. Okay, and then go outside. Okay, instead of an else, we just go outside of the if, the first part, and then we say return a true. Okay, so now you're seeing, because of the return statements, the is present goes away. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check to see if it's a decimal. So the beauty is I can take all of this. In fact, I'll just clean it up a little bit. Control KD. Everything's cleaned up. I'm going to take this whole method, copy it, go below, paste it, and instead of is present, what we will say is decimal. Okay, is it a decimal? And this is the same. So if the before I do that, before I get into my if, I need to actually check that there's a number. So decimal number is 0M. Okay. And then this statement, we just have to update a little bit here. And the way I'm going to do this is like this: decimal, capital decimal, dot try parse. Okay. And in there, inside that bracket, it's going to be text, text box dot text, capital T, sorry, comma, out number. Okay, so if you've got two brackets there, you're doing the right thing. Now I'm actually going to Control X this because I want to still save it, and I'm going to move this whole line into here, and outside I'm going to do that, but I need to add an else. And because I'm really picky about this, I'll put this at the bottom. Okay. And Control KD, Control KD for my formatting. All right, and I'm going to replicate this whole idea one more time, but to ensure that I'm dealing with an integer, an int32. So I'm going to say copy. Okay, go down here. Sorry. I want actually all of this here. Copy and paste this in here. And this is going to be is int 32. Okay, is int 32. That's the same. This needs to be changed to an int. Okay, and I don't need the M. Now this should be not decimal. Int 32. Try parse, text box, outnumber. All of that's fine. Now I didn't change my message up here. Okay, so my message here should be changed to this. Must be a decimal value, and this should be changed to not a decimal value, an integer value. Okay, and that's title, focus, and set to false. I have one more thing to do left, and it's not that much for this validation. Okay, so we'll go outside of this, and I guess I will just type it all in, and you can follow along. Okay, so that is it within the range? Okay, and we're looking at the decimal is in the minimum and the maximum. Okay, and I need some brackets to deal with the scope of this. And let's just move down here a little. That bothers me to see the red lines. I'm not going to lie to you. So return true. Okay, I'm just going to put that in there as a placeholder, and I'll go through the rest of it, but because I need to return statements. So if I do this, return false. Okay, and return true. That's okay. That's okay. All I ended up doing was replacing one irritation with another. That's okay. So let's go to here. So we need this. If our number... Now, what I needed first, believe it or not, in order to get into that, is I need a decimal number equals convert to decimal, and this text box dot text. Okay, I need that first before I can get into my if, so that I've got the number, which will now be part of this. If the number is, let's say, less than min, or number is greater than max, then I can get into the rest of my statement. All right. And I'm just going to actually copy and paste this for now. Okay. So I've got the message box show text box tag, very similar to what we've got up top. Must be between, and then we're saying minimum, okay, and maximum. So we're doing the concatenation, okay, with a period and then the title, and then we're focusing. This actually needs to move up into the block, okay, and then this needs to move into here to make that go away. Okay, I'll move that up. And so for this particular validation, it's not that much and it's not that bad, but we still need to save that. And the reason I've got that is because I want to start building out the rest of the code, and I don't want to get bogged down when I call is present or is decimal. Change that. Is in 32 and is within range. So when I call these, I don't want to really get bogged down. Okay, so that's why I've gone to the validator right now. Okay, so now I'm actually at this first form, and I think what I want to do now is begin to write the code with this, because I've done all the supporting stuff. I want to get in and start building this out. All right, so we've got this open. Let's double click on that and we can see that the exit button actually opened up for us. Okay. And obviously the easiest one that we could ever do is this dot close. Right. That's why it's the one I always pick first. And let's just go to the top and see what's going on in here. What we're doing is we're inheriting from form. Okay, and you can see that it's being included here. This is our initialization of the form itself. And then really we're just getting to exit. So we don't have anything in here. And so it's time we'll put some distance between us and in the exit button. Really, and then just start working on a lot of the code that we've got to put in here and implement. Okay, so the first thing I do have to do, the first thing I need here is my list of inventory item. Okay, that's the first thing that I need. And the way I'm going to do this is it's private. Okay, and then list. Sorry, don't know why that happened, but list and then inventory item. Okay, and you can see it pop up down there. And you can, that's a little frustrating. INV, all right. With the, it's pluralized, so no. Okay, so that's the first thing I've got to do. I've got to put that in there. I'm joining one to the other. Okay, I'm joining this to this. All right. Now, next thing I've got to do is I've actually now got to do a load. Okay, so let's look at the form itself. All right, we've got this here. We've got add item, delete, and exit, but the next thing I actually have to do is find a way to do a load. Okay, so I've got this here, and I also have the exit button, but there's one thing that I really do want to do. Okay, so when the actual document, or sorry, the form opens up, let's say there's actually data already stored in our text file. Okay, then what? We actually want this to load that data. So if I go to the form itself, okay, and you'll see over here, I have nothing in the load. Okay, so what I'm in is the event handler, and there's the load button. Okay, and I've already opened it up and I've got my close, and that's all I've got. But if I actually double click on the actual form itself, what happens is I get this load method right here, and it happened above the exit. I don't want it to be there, so I'm going to move that down. Okay, but I want it to be right here at the actual top. Okay, so now when I go back to this thing here, and you can see on the side, I've got load as an event handler, form maintenance, inventory maintenance load. That's exactly what I want there. And so when I get back to the code, what I'm saying is, as you load, make sure that we now can see the items. So if I say inventory item database dot get items. Okay, and this was getting the items from it before. And now I'm saying assign that over to inv items, capital and plural. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to happen. If you've got something in your data, then populate it onto the screen. Now the next thing I want is fill item list box. Okay, so this one might be a little bit different. Let's check it out. Fill item list box. Okay, now there's nothing being recognized in there, and so that tells you something, that it's not been built yet. And so the next thing I want to do is actually build this, and I'm going to build it right underneath my load. Okay, and that's simply just going to be private and a void, and that's the name of it. And in here, we're going to say list items, LST. Okay, and those should be in there because I properly identified, in my labeling, I properly did that. Okay, and that's clear. That's the first part. Let me just move everything down. Now I need a for each here. Okay, so I'll do for each. For each in the bracket, I'm going to say this item in, let's see where it is, INV items. Oh, just like this, and LST list items dot add, and inside the add method it'll be item dot get display text. Now, do you remember where we did that? Do you remember where we did get display text? Get display text was here in our inventory items. It was the last method that we created there. And so now we're calling it over here. All right. Okay, what else do we need? We need to add this button. So I click on this. Again, I don't want it at the bottom. Maybe I should just stop doing it that way. There. Okay, so I've got add click. And what do I want to do from there? Everything is all set up just fine to me. And so now we need to go to the new items. So form new items. Okay, this is all the stuff that we need to add over into here. So when I click that add button right here, all of the information, the other box will open up. Okay, so I want to add an item, get this box, populate it, hit the save, right? And then have it get populated inside here. So there's a lot of steps there to do, but the code isn't all that bad. So form, form new item, new item. What is this? Form, it's new item form. New item form. And we're going to say new FRM new item. Okay. There. So we've done this, the first piece here. Now it's going to be INV item. I wish this was a little easier to say. Okay, and that's going to be equal to new item form dot get new item. Okay, now probably haven't done get you new item yet, now have I? When I build this form, then I will do a get new item. But for now, we're just gonna use it as a placeholder, okay, until I can actually build it out. Okay, so let's keep going. We're gonna do an if. So if inventory item singular is not equal to null, then what? That's our condition, then what? So we're going to say inventory item with an S, sorry, inventory items dot add. And inside the add, it's going to be inventory item. Just like that. Okay, and now we've got to do inventory item database dot save items. And I haven't built my save items yet, right? So it's going to be this that has to go in there. And then I've got this one here, fill item list box. And I'm pretty sure we just did that one right here. Okay, good. Now, obviously I don't have this one and I don't have this one yet. And I have one more thing on this particular page that I need to do. It's this here, the delete item. Okay, so again, big mistake maybe putting that down there, but it doesn't matter. I can live with it. Okay, so I've got the delete click. Now, we did talk about this in the PowerPoints. The delete is in here. And just bear with me and you'll see what's going on, okay? We're going to do an int I, not minus, equals list items, okay, and that's plural, and selected. I want selected index, all right? Next thing is we're going to do an if I is not equal to -1. Okay, I hope that sounds familiar from when we looked at the PowerPoint. Okay, and inside here, we're going to say inventory item, and it should be, sorry, capital. Inventory item, inventory item. And the way that this is going to be, we're going to cast this. and inside here, we're going to set this to I. Okay. So all I'm doing here is actually just casting this. That's the way it's, that's why I put it in the brackets. Now I need a message. Okay. A string message equals a $sign quotation. Are you sure you want to delete? And in here, in these brackets, we're going to say inventory item singular description. Okay, on the other side of the bracket, we'll put a question mark, and I've got the quotation there. You should be able to see it. So that's the line that I want for that. Right now, if I go to the next line, I want dialogue result is going to be button. Okay, and that is going to equal a whole ton of stuff here. So message box dot show, and inside the show, what do I want to say? Message and a comma, confirm, delete. Okay, so in here, confirm delete, a not a period, a comma. Let's go down to the next line. Message box buttons dot yes, no. Okay, and I'll just put the colon there. Now I probably had enough room on here. I can also do this. I think I'll do that. Okay, and then yeah. One more thing I need to do is another if condition. Okay, so if my button is equal to dialogue result dot yes, then what? Okay, then what I want to do is I want to remove save items and then fill item list box. So we're going to say this here with an S, sorry, dot remove. Okay, and inside the brackets, we're going to remove what? Okay, we're going to remove this. And then we're going to do this here is going to be save. We're going to save what's going on in the database. Save items. Okay, and don't forget, I haven't actually written that one yet. Semicolon, and then finally fill item. Okay, I have to do it this way. Fill. Happens to everybody. Okay, that I have no idea how that happened. Okay, that's that piece there. Now, in terms of this file overall, we should be actually pretty good. All right. I think the last thing I had to do on here was this here, and looks like I've still got to write this function or method, and I've got to do this one as well, and those will be as part of this. Okay, I've got save and cancel and stuff I have to take care of. All right. All right, I'm over here. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm actually going to, do I need to load this? I wonder. I don't really think no, I don't think I need to do a load on that one. So what I can actually do is just, I'm going to open it up. I'll just double click the cancel. Okay, and I've got everything I need here. I've got the cancel. All right, and everybody's favorite dot close. Closer. No. Okay, so that one's done there. Now that's there's not too much to go left on this particular one, right? But first thing I do need to do after we do this line 18 is same as I've done before in here, I believe. I need, no, it's a little bit different the way I need to do it here. So I'll just type it out normally because I'm not doing a list. Okay, I'm not actually grabbing a list of information. This is where I'm actually typing it in. The other one is grabbing a list that was already populated. Okay, and so what I need to do is to make this private and item. Make this an item, and I'm just going to set this to null. Okay, that's how I'm going to initialize it. Just initialize it to null. All right. Now I did on the other form, I had a couple of errors in here, right? Which one was this one here? Because I didn't actually write this yet. So why don't I go ahead and go over to the file right now and start working on that? Okay, so that's going to be public. Like this here. All right, now I want you to understand something that's going on here. All right, this is my return type. Okay, so if you've seen anything at all on this video and you're like, why is he putting it like that? Okay, this is my return type. Let's go and look at maybe another method somewhere else. Okay, is that one a good one to look at? No, I don't think so. Maybe I don't have any good ones in here to look at. Okay, so what does a Boolean do? It returns a true or a false. So in a sense, you can say if my data type for is present is a Boolean, okay, I've got to return either a true or false. I don't think that's the best example. Let's see if I can find another return value. Seems like I might have a hard time explaining this the way I want. I'm hoping that I've done it before. Okay, here's the best example I can come to. So items. What is items? What is the data type of items? Okay, it's actually this here. Okay, that's another terrible example. Let me go back to here and just look at this for a second. If I was going to do something that does a calculation, returns me a number, right? I would be putting in my data type for my return value. That's just part of doing any method out there. I need to, whatever I'm returning inside my method, this is always going to match up with the type, because your method signature or prototype is, you know, it's got its own name with the brackets, but you have to tell it, hey, whatever you do within this method, go out and give me back something, and it's got to match up the data type. Okay, so unfortunately, I don't have a great example to explain that, but ultimately, this is really what it comes down to. This is my data type for what I'm trying to do. Okay. All right. So what else do I need in this? So I'm going to say this dot show dialog. Show dialog. That's good enough there. Okay, so don't forget, this is, where did that go? Get new items. It's right here. Okay, this is part of my add. This is my when I click the add button over here, okay, it's going to open up my other form right here, and then that's going to grab that stuff and add it to what I want it to be. Okay, so this is get the new get the new item, and the first thing it's doing when it says show the dialog box, it's really saying show me this. Show me the new form. Okay, so that's the first thing that that's doing. And then return this, my invent item or inventory item. Okay, so that's all I have to do for that particular one. Now let's get to the save. Okay, not that one. This one here. All right, let's do this one. Let's do the save button. Okay. So again, I got to move this guy down. Small price to pay for efficiency, I suppose. All right, I've got my save click button. First thing I want to do is know, is the data valid? So if I need an if statement, and I'm going to say is, let's see what it comes up with. Is valid? Doesn't seem to be picking up the IntelliSense. Is valid data. Now, why am I getting an error on this? Let's see what it has to say about that. Show potential fix. Okay, I don't like that particular one. Okay, the obvious answer is because I actually haven't written this method yet. Okay, so that's the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to not continue on with the save button because I want to deal with the validation. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to go, I suppose, right below it. Okay, and put that in there. And what are we going to call, what's our type? So it'll be a private bool. Okay, so we're asking, is it valid? And if it's valid, we're going to return something. Okay. Now, don't forget, we made an entire class called Validator, right? So this is the way we're going to do it. Right down here, this is our class Validator. And let's go open that up. What did we make inside here? We said, here's Validator. We said is present. We said is decimal. We said is it an int32, and is it within a range, right? So we created a bunch of methods in here. So I don't want the comma. What I want is the period. Now we're going to say is present. Okay, and if it's present, let's say is the text item number. Okay, so that's the first one. And we're gonna check a bunch of conditions all at once, and they all have to be valid. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is say validator dot is int 32. Okay, and the text, what do I want? txt, same one. txt tx, if I could only spell, right? So that one there, and we're going to say, and we're going to test another one. Is present, and what I want to test here is text description. Text description. And okay, so what does this tell you? As soon as you see this error, what does this tell you? It should tell you that I did a terrible job of actually doing my labels properly. Okay, it's not a spelling mistake. Okay, it shouldn't be a spelling mistake at all. It's possible because it doesn't entirely look like it's, no, it looks fine to me. Okay, so what I need to do is make sure that my labeling is done properly. Okay, so when I go to here, notice my labeling is done incorrectly. Okay, so my text description, and this is why I left it out, and this is why I always tell you, you have to be a little bit fanatical about this. Okay, and now what is this one going to say? Same problem. I was about to have a big problem. TXT price, right? So now when I get back to here, you see that the error has gone away. And let's do validator dot is present, and in here I want txt price. Okay, and I've got one more to go. Validator dot is decimal and txt price. Okay, and a semicolon. And that's actually done. Control KD, and that's all lined up. Notice my error up here went away. So now I can go back up to here and say, okay, so if this, so if all of these conditions are good to go and I return this, awesome. Then inside my if, I'm going to say inventory item equals new inventory item. And in here, let me just see, I need to put a semicolon, and in here, I've got my parameter list. Okay. Now, remember what I'm doing here. This is the constructor. Okay. And I'm going to put my item number, my description, and my price. But to do all that, I have to actually do conversions, some conversion. Okay, and the way I'm going to do this, I'm just going to give myself some space, go to the next line, and I'm going to say convert dot to int 32. Okay, and in here, txt should be item number. Okay, and dot text. Okay, so that's the first one. That's the first one I want to do. I've still got the other ones to do, but the text I don't need to convert because it's already a string. Txt description dot txt or txt whatever, comma, and then the last one I've got to convert dot to a decimal. Okay, and then this 2 decimal inside here is txt price dot text. Okay, and if you're really struggling to understand what I'm talking about here, go back to one of the earlier videos because I explained how information comes from a text box and then gets converted. Okay. All right. So the next thing I want to do is this dot close. Okay, so that's the last thing I want to do inside of my save button. Once I've saved it, then close it out. All right, what else do we need to do inside of here? Okay, so there's one final big thing that we do have to do, and we actually don't have too much more to go after that, believe it or not. Which is kind of nice because I'm getting pretty exhausted. I don't know about the rest of you. So let's look at the form, right? We've got this form, we fill it in, we save that data, and what happens is that data gets sent over to here, right? And it goes into here, it gets displayed, and it can be removed and stuff like that. But where does the saved data get stored? Okay, and that's the piece that we still have to do. all of this other stuff that we've done, we actually, in our items database, we actually haven't saved it yet. We have to write the code. That's the final thing that we have to do. And where in here might I find an error? Okay, so if we go to the file for the maintenance, the form inventory maintenance, we still have this particular one that we have to write. Okay, we haven't done that. So that's the one I'm going to go ahead and do now. So let's go back to here, and right after our return items, right after that, I think, yeah, right here, we have to write that one. So this will be a public static void and saved items. Now, inside this parameter list, okay, remember we saved this as a list, okay, and inside these brackets, inventory item and items. Just like that. That is our parameter list. All right, so we have a little bit to do in here. And that little bit is to put in a comment. So we're going to create the output stream for a text file that already exists. So we're going to do this. Stream writer, okay, which is great that it was in the IntelliSense. Stream writer text out is going to equal new stream writer, and inside here we're going to do new. Now keep in mind this is all part of the PowerPoint stuff that I showed you in the beginning of this. Okay, so file stream, and it's right here, file stream, and in here we go back to path, comma, file mode dot create. Okay, and then a comma, and we're going to say file access dot write. Okay, and then you'll have two brackets to finish that off. And let me move it up and give you more to look at. Now from here, I'm actually going to go into a for each. Okay, and now I'm going to write each item. Okay, so I'll put that comment in, and I'm going to say for each like this, not the 0. This one here, item in items. Now, just remember, if you're not used to these for each things, if it's always a kind of mystery how to label these things. Just remember, the first one always is plural, or sorry, singular. The first one's always singular. The second one is usually always a plural. Okay, so that's just a good tip in case you're not too comfortable with for each loops. So we're going to say text out dot write, and in here we'll say item dot item number plus separator. Okay. Now I'm hoping that this is going to cause my other separator issue to go away, but we'll see. I'm just going to copy and paste this one and do an edit. And this text out is not going to be item number. It's going to be description. Okay, and then the last one down here is going to be text out dot write line. Okay, this one's a little bit different. And item dot price. Okay, and I'll finish that with the semicolon. All right, is there more to do? Yes, I have to close it. Okay, that's the final thing that I've got to do outside of this. is I now have to actually go in and close the text file. So the way we do this is just like we do every other time we want to close something. We just literally call close the close method, and that's it. All right, I do see that I've got an error in one spot up on line 29. It's this guy here. Okay, there is one final thing that I do need to add in here, and that is an actual text file. Okay, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to do a new item, and I can go all the way down here, and you can see right here, text file. And that's going to save it as a .txt. And this is going to be called, let me close this, and I want to make sure that I do this properly, right? Because I want the exact name for what I'm calling. So I'm going to copy this, go back to here, and I'm going to say add a new item, a text file right here. And I'm going to do add. And you can see the file is right here. Okay, it's opened up in the window, but I don't have anything populated in it. So what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to copy this, paste it in there. And notice I've got these little separators and everything in there. So I'm going to save that. Right, and then I'm going to close it. Build solution, see what happens. I know I've got one error for sure. It's this separator idea. Okay, so did have a couple of minor issues. Have no fear, sorted it out. Now, this wasn't picking up this issue very much. So what I've done is I've just simply taken on this line here, and instead of having separator in there, I just actually put the split. It's perfectly fine. Now the other thing I did, and I want you to understand what I've done here. You saw before I had a whole bunch of backslashes, okay? And so what I've done is I right click on there and I say copy full path. Okay, so then you can just go anywhere in there and do a Control V, and you'll get the entire path to where that is being stored. Okay, so then you can, just delete that. And all I've done is literally pasted it right into here, in between the quotation marks and the @ symbol. Okay, so when I go and run this, you could see the very first one actually worked. So if I hit item, I'm going to say 456. It works. And it's $1 million, whatever. Okay, and it takes a little bit, but there it is. Okay, it actually persists that in there. And if I do that, if I delete it, do you want to delete GTG? Yes. So I want to delete it. Okay, but there's a little bit of a delay, and that's okay. So now when I go into here, I click on it, you can see that the data is now being written right into that particular file. Okay, so I'm hoping that you got to this far. There's a lot that has gone into this. So if you need to, then yeah, definitely pause the video, dissect it, go through all of it again. But at the end of the day, really what we're trying to do is read and write to a stream. Okay, and we've done that here in this particular example. And like I said before, a database doesn't have to be SQL or Mongo or NoSQL or anything like that, okay? A database can be any file that you can create that will persist your data. Now, The binary stuff that I chose to ignore in this particular video, very, very similar to what you could do here. I'm not going to actually, worry too much about the fact that I didn't cover it. This video is long enough. And you can go online or get the Mirac book and get the update on how to do that anyway. So anyway, what I want to do is end the video there. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. And I think what's going to happen there is we're now going to get to database stuff. Okay, very different, but a little bit similar. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.